The name Khamzat Chimaev does not echo. It roars, rattling through the walls of MMA like thunder before a storm. When he first appeared, people weren't sure what to make of him. Was he just another wrestler? Another prospect destined to burn bright and fade away? Within days, that question was buried under a mountain of broken opponents. He didn't just debut, he detonated. 2 fights in 10 days, both finishes, both effortless. The UFC had never seen anything like it. A mysterious wolf from Chechnya had arrived, and he made sure the world remembered his name in blood, sweat, and fear. Every fighter enters the cage with a dream, but Chimaev enters with a mission: to devour. He fights not just to win, but to dominate, humiliate, and erase. In a sport where champions often tread carefully, calculating every move, Chimaev's approach is violent poetry. He throws himself into the fire from the very first second, dragging opponents into deep waters they never trained for. It is this savage certainty that terrifies even the elite. He is not merely a competitor, he is a storm, an unsolvable puzzle, a hunter who knows no pause, no hesitation, only forward destruction. His rise was so meteoric that the UFC itself seemed unprepared. Dana White, a man who has seen every great fighter come and go, admitted he had never witnessed anything quite like him. From parking lot training sessions to the bright lights of Fight Island, Chimaev's story blurred the line between myth and reality. In just 17 seconds, he folded another opponent, proving he wasn't hype, he was inevitability. Legends like Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman ruled their divisions with iron fists, yet suddenly whispered sport. Every hardship became a brick in the foundation of his willpower. Every loss, every scar, carved him into something unbreakable. This wasn't an athlete born in a gym. This was a predator born in struggle. By the time he entered the UFC, he wasn't fighting for fame. He was fighting with the hunger of a man who had nothing to lose. His dominance was not without resistance, though. The fight with Gilbert Burns became a crucible, a test of whether Chimaev was truly as invincible as people claimed. Burns, a seasoned world champion in jiu-jitsu and a dangerous striker, pushed him into hell. Blood spilled, lungs burned, the crowd roared. For the first time, Chimaev looked human. He was rocked, tagged, dragged into chaos. But here is the chilling truth: he still won. That night, even drained from a brutal weight cut, even when facing the sharpest blade of the division, the Wolf survived. He proved he could bleed, but he would not break. What most fans didn't know was how much the weight cuts had damaged him. Dropping 40 pounds in short spans was not sustainable, not human. After the Burns War, Chimaev revealed the toll: drained, dizzy, nearly broken before the fight had even begun. Yet he still walked away with victory. This made his decision inevitable: to move up in weight, to step into a division filled with giants. It was a gamble, but for a man who thrives on risk, it was destiny. And when the cage doors shut against bigger, stronger men, the results were just as horrifying as before. The showdown with Kamaru Usman silenced doubters. Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, one of the greatest welterweight champions in history, was no easy prey. Many thought his wrestling would cancel out Chimaev's dominance, that his championship heart would break the Chechen wolf. Usman found himself dragged, mauled, and controlled. He fought bravely, but every second under Chimaev's grip was suffocation. When the decision was announced, it wasn't just a victory, it was a declaration. Chimaev could bend even legends to his will. He had proven he could out-wrestle the best, outlast the strongest, and carve his path to the throne. Then came Robert Whittaker, the Reaper himself, a former champion with Olympic wrestlers in his camp and a reputation for surviving firestorms. He had faced Adesanya, Romero, Gastelum, names carved into UFC history. Yet even Whittaker's preparation could not withstand Chimaev's merciless assault. Within minutes, the Reaper was drowning in a choke, tapping to a pressure he could not resist. That night, Chimaev didn't just win. He dismantled a former king, making it look like child's play. In less than 3 minutes, the balance of the division shifted. The Wolf had torn through one of the toughest warriors in the sport with ease. What separates Chimaev from others is not only skill, but mindset. He carries himself with the fearlessness of a man who has already faced death outside the cage. For him, fighting is not extraordinary. It is ordinary, routine, almost. That psychological edge is perhaps his deadliest weapon. Opponents don't just fight his fists and takedowns. They fight the crushing realization that nothing they do will matter. He will drag them linger. Critics whisper that if he cannot finish early, he will tire, he will crack. They look at the Burns fight. The moment the cage closes, reality strikes like a hammer. They are helpless. Chimaev is not just stronger, not just faster, he is relentless. And when that relentlessness meets doubt, the outcome is always the same. When Chimaev finally fought for gold, the world expected chaos, a brutal knockout, or a slick submission that would end in a highlight reel forever replayed. Instead, they witnessed something colder, crueler, a suffocating domination stretched across 5 rounds. Against Du Plessis, the reigning champion, Chimaev didn't chase flashy finishes. He dragged him into a dark place and kept him there, drowning him under relentless pressure. 21 minutes of control, the most in UFC history for a 5-round fight. No miracle comeback, no burst of glory. Just the slow, merciless reminder that against the Chechen wolf, there is no escape. Du Plessis was no ordinary opponent. He had battered Israel Adesanya, shattered names on his way to the belt, and walked into the fight with confidence earned from 9 straight UFC wins. But that confidence evaporated in minutes. Tossed around like a rag doll, suffocated under Chimaev's weight, his eyes told the truth. He had never faced anything like this. Bigger, stronger, yet utterly powerless, Du Plessis found himself locked in survival mode. By the final bell, he was still standing, but broken. The belt slipped from his waist without resistance, claimed by a predator who didn't need flash to prove his supremacy. For fans, it was puzzling. Where was the reckless destroyer who had once smashed men in seconds? Had Chimaev changed? The truth is chilling. He hadn't slowed down, he had evolved. What once was wild aggression became methodical destruction, like a lion that no longer wastes energy chasing but waits, stalks, and then suffocates the prey until it stops breathing. He proved he didn't need chaos to win. He could. LD dismantled champions piece by piece, round by round. That realization sent shockwaves across the division. If he could win through storm or through patience, then what weakness could possibly be left to exploit? This transformation made him even more dangerous. Against Burns, we saw his willingness to trade in chaos. Against Usman, we saw his ability to impose will against greatness. Against Whittaker, we saw ruthless precision. And against Du Plessis, we saw cold-blooded control. 4 different scenarios, 4 different strategies, 1 outcome, victory. This adaptability is the mark of a true predator. Like Khabib before him, Chimaev's wrestling is a foundation. But unlike Khabib, he embraces striking fire, risks brawls, and thrives in madness. He is not a mirror of the past. He is an evolution, something more feral, more unpredictable, more terrifying. And yet, there is always the shadow of fragility, his health. Twice, COVID nearly ended his career. He coughed blood, collapsed in training, and even considered retirement. For a brief moment, the wolf limped. But survival has always been his nature. From the war-torn childhood streets to hospital rooms where he thought life might end, he clawed back. If anything, those scars made him hungrier. He knows time may betray him, that his body may one day fail, but until then, he fights as though each bout is his last hunt. That urgency bleeds through every takedown, every strike, every choke. Some whisper about the future. What happens if Chimaev faces an opponent who refuses to break? What if someone survives the storm, weathers the choke, and fires back in the 5th round? But history tells us the truth. Every fighter who believed they could be that man has walked away humbled. Training camps built to stop his takedowns crumble within seconds. Sparring sessions with elite wrestlers mean nothing when the wolf's grip closes. The moment reality replaces theory, confidence dies. In the end, no one has truly solved him. He remains an unanswered question, a puzzle that leaves broken bodies as its solution. The terror of facing Chimaev isn't just physical, it's psychological. Fighters know what's coming. They know he will shoot, drag, smother, and strike, and still, they cannot stop it. Imagine standing across the cage from him, heart pounding, knowing the next 25 minutes could feel like drowning. That mental burden breaks men before the first punch lands. Even legends admitted it. There is no simulation in training that prepares you for his weight, his control, his relentlessness. It is not just fighting him, it is fighting inevitability, and inevitability is undefeated. That is why his name spreads fear long before fists fly. But dominance is never eternal. The sport is a graveyard of legends once thought untouchable. Anderson Silva, Kamaru Usman, even Khabib retired before the fall could come. For Chimaev, the question lingers. Will his reign end by injury, by exhaustion, or by a man who discovers the key to the unsolvable puzzle? Every predator eventually meets prey that refuses to die. Every empire meets its collapse. And yet, for now, the wolf stands at the peak, bloodied but unbeaten, hungry but never satisfied. The future trembles not with if, but with when, and that suspense is the very fuel that makes his saga irresistible. His story is not just about wins and belts, it's about transformation. From a nameless boy forged in the fires of war, to a rising monster smashing through UFC contenders, to a champion who bends divisions to his will, Chimaev embodies the raw truth of combat. He doesn't just fight opponents. He consumes their will, their hope, their belief. He leaves not only bruised bodies, but broken spirits. And in that destruction, he builds his legend. Every fight becomes another chapter, another warning, another howl in the dark night of the MMA world, reminding ever betray him? Or will some future warrior rise to become his executioner? Or will he, like Khabib, walk away undefeated?